awesome.
And so we said, "Oh, well, this was on Auntie's voicemail," and then we had to explain
Of
voicemail
course. Was it on
or an
voicemail? Yeah, it
answering
had to be an
machine.
answering machine, right? Yeah.
It was an answering machine. So we had to explain what an answering machine well, first we had to start with what's a landline,
Yeah.
then what's an answering machine, what a tape inside an answering
Oh,
machine
that's a big
is,
deal.
how a tape is similar to a record, what a record is.
Wait, your kids
There's a
didn't
lot of
already know
steps.
what records are? That surprises me.
Our our son does, I
Okay, so
think.
don't minimize his knowledge.
No, but there's a bit that's just the
Yes.
number of steps you have to take to go backwards is incredibly
Oh,
depressing.
it's awful. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I know. I miss answering machines, though. I
Um,
miss, like it's funny because I hate listening to voicemail. I just hate it. It just drives me crazy. But even
mhm.
when I wasn't sure if it was good news or bad news, I loved listening to the answering machine.
Interesting. Because of the way it echoes through the
I don't
house? What was
know.
it
I
about?
don't know what it
What's the
was.
difference?
And maybe it was because you didn't know until you got home. Whereas now it's
That's a
sort
good
of you
point.
you see it coming in and you kinda know who it is,
Right. That
and then
makes
you get the
sense.
visual voicemail, which I do love because I love how it, like, just slaughters what everybody says. I find it hilarious.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
my favorite, yeah.
I mean, I guess with the answer machine, when I had my apartment and my first own answer machine, it was also kind of fun because German Rachel we'd go to the bar, and no matter if she liked someone or not, she gave them my phone number, like, as if it
Hmm,
was her phone number. So I'd get all the
right.
creepers calling me and leaving me messages for her, and then I had to weed through
That's
and, like,
amazing.
give her the good numbers, which
Right.
in
And y
retrospect, why did I do that? But
right. Well, but to that point, how do you determine what's a good number and
well,
what's a bad
sometimes she
number?
had to tell me which ones she I mean, usually you can tell
Okay.
from the messages, like, who the creepers are.
Well, sure, if there's someone just breathing into
Right,
the phone, you're like,
and and
I don't know if
right.
he's gonna be worth
Yeah, and usually
Thanksgiving."
I had been at the bar with her, so I kinda knew who the real prospects
Mm,
were
right,
and not, but yeah.
right. What did they say on the messages? Was it like, "Hey, I'm this guy we met at the bar. I was wearing
I don't
the chaps
I
and
wish if there were more.
had the ZZ Top beard." Like, what was
Where
the
was that guy in
I don't
1997?
know. Yeah, true.
96, 97, whatever year it was.
Or like, "Hey, I was the lead singer in Smash Mouth. We met at the bar last night. Do you remember this?" Or what was the like, how did you but how can you tell, I guess,
Well
as someone who has not gotten a voicemail message from a creeper?
I think it's usually it's all I think it's usually what's in the delivery, but I don't remember anyone telling us what
Mm,
they were wearing.
okay. But what's the delivery then? How is it they how can you say, "We met at the bar last night. Give me a
Well, I think it
call,"
was usually
and sound
creepy when
creepy?
you're like, "Hey, baby, you're so beautiful. I had so much fun talking to you last night. Can't wait to talk to you
Okay.
again."
Yeah. Alright.
There's also
That's
the
that is
whole,
kind of
like, or like my favorite scene in Swingers, there's the 37 messages.
This is Why, with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
how is, Admiral doing? Or
Captain.
Captain, sorry.
Wait, you wanna
Um
see it?
oh, he's there?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he sleeping?
Is he sleeping? Oh, he's sleeping.
Okay. Well, I don't wanna wake him.
I know.
Um, so has he melted your heart and won you over?
Oh my god, he's so cute.
Okay.
He's
Did he he's very fat? Is Dave already fat shaming the dog?
Yep.
Okay. So
We've had
they've
to reel
met.
that in. Yes, they met last night.
Okay. Is he currently wearing the fit bark?
He is not, but I have a feeling the fit bark is coming.
Now this was you were saying, like, you were gonna kinda take him for a test drive and then working under the idea that there's no way in hell Dave's gonna be as cold enough to say, like, "We're not taking this creature back." Has his heart grown 3 sizes today in seeing Captain?
I think yesterday it did, like, we'll find out tonight for sure, but we should
Okay.
revisit this tomorrow, but
Right.
yesterday, we went over to his house for a while for dinner and a movie, and wanted Captain to stay there, and He's like,
Oh.
"Should just
Oh,
been in
hello.
why
Wow.
would you move him?" So,
Wow. Okay. That progressed quickly.
yeah. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see what happens today.
Very exciting.
But he's settled very well.
Okay.
He loves Aunt Rachel.
Okay. Have you tried dressing him up in anything ridiculous just yet?
Not yet,
Okay.
but
Where does that come in the relationship?
well,
Dave's
I think
already inviting him to stay over.
I know. I think a couple days. I think he's had a very traumatic
Yeah.
transition.
When do you
So
hand him the top hat and cane and say, "Start dancing, monkey"?
right, right.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be a sailor outfit. What do you think?
So to go back, February 13th, 1983, you're in Utica, New York. What do you remember about that show?
What do I remember about show? I believe we stopped in the middle of the show because I guess I screwed a part up or I started a different song than they started. And in my whole career, I'd never been in a band that actually stopped, said, "No, we're doing this. That's wrong." You know, looked at each other, stopped, and said, "Oh, this is wrong." And okay, let's try it again. And started again. And in the beginning, usually you just like fake through it and try to find your way. But no, the Ramones stopped. They just stopped, said, "Okay, let's try it again." It didn't, not like where you left off, just like at the beginning of the song again. So I thought that was really shocking. Dee Dee went, "Oh, we have a new drummer." So it's kind of bizarre, but I think that's like I remember that first show.
So how did you get that job? Because Marky's last show was November the year before. In your defense, you didn't have a lot of time to learn the set.
No, but that's the way the Ramones roll. I got it. I guess I'm trying to, I'd have to look at my book again. I'm spacing out here, though. But I got in there like January of '83. So, I got it because of a roadie, Larry Tchaikovsky. Larry Czech was Marky's roadie, Ramone's drum roadie. And I knew him from the shirts. I used to hang out. He used to roadie for the shirts, the shirts, Annie Golden and all that band. And they had a big house in Brooklyn. And we would all hang there every day. It was like a clubhouse, 24 hours a day. If you had nothing to do, you could always go to that house. It was 3 levels. One level was a recording studio. People lived upstairs. It was just a party house. And Larry said to me one day, I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "Mone's auditioning drummers." I said, "Oh, what the fuck? You got to tell him about me." And so he went in, told him about Richie Bowe, I guess was my name at the time. And I was playing in a band called 15. And I got a call from Monty and went down and blind audition, just like everybody else auditioned. So it wasn't like I knew them or anything. I just did like 3 auditions and got the gig.
Did you play with them, or were you just playing along to a record? What were you doing for the audition?
Monty said, "Learn 3 songs." And Joey wasn't there. Johnny and Dee Dee. And I played with them, and then the next time Joey came, and blah, blah, blah. It's really detailed in my book. I know better now. But basically it was, a raw audition with the 2 of them. It was really insane, Here I was walking in there and not being, I knew about the Ramones and I saw them early on in '76 and was like, wow, this is really cool. And then I was there, but I wasn't a fan who had all the records or any of the records or posters on the wall. I was never a fanboy of anybody. I just loved Buddy Rich, John Bonham, and for drumming purposes, but I wasn't a fanboy, and just did a professional job and got the show, and then my life changed.
So what drew you to drumming in the first place?
I don't know. It's just I can always remember, like in kindergarten, I would always tap on my chest, and when the teacher said it's recess time, and you went to the corner and you pulled out that dirty box. And there were like toys in there, like stuff you could blow in and trumpets and plastic junk. I would always grab like the sand blocks or something that made a rhythm. So ever since 5 years old. And then and then in my family, I have 4 other siblings. And my parents always made the children learn an instrument. I guess it was because it gave you some kind of responsibility and blah, blah, blah. So I took up drums, and they got me a teacher and all that stuff. And me and my brother's he was a music major. He plays horn and all that stuff. And we stayed with it. My sisters, they picked up the piano and flute, but they didn't last long. And then they just go get married, So they never
really
stayed with it. But that was like, it gave us a sense of responsibility. There were no video games, none of that stuff. Cell phones when you were 10 years old. So that was their thing. And them not being musicians themselves, I thought that was, when I look back at that, I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very, very cool. My mother is a musician, so I was focused on those things always too, but to have not been musicians themselves and to, give you that, what turned out to be your career is amazing. Why did you decide to stick with it for a lifetime and build such an incredible career from it?
I don't know. Why do you stick with it? It's kind of what all you know, I mean,
right.
What I know, it's what I do best. There was a point where I left the scene for about 10 years, and I was working a normal suit job, but it was eating at me that I still wanted to do music, like, I don't know, in the back of your mind. But, it's a tough business, and, you got to have thick skin for it, because we never really make it onto the level of, like, that you see on TV or that, we're just a grinded out dive bar touring band. I'm talking about even the Ramones. We were like the biggest club band around, we weren't playing arenas, but so I got used to that vibe, and it hasn't changed, but it's a tough it's a tough grind.
How did you get along with the other guys in the band? I mean, Joey and
great.
John.
Everything was great. John, Joey was my best pal for my 4 years and 10 months. I guess we were together 4 years and 10 months every night. I mean, Joey and I were out. If we weren't touring, we were best buddies. And Dee Dee would come and write at my house. We did all that rap stuff together. John was John was a recluse, He was just a business working partner. That was it. You never saw him any other time but rehearsal or traveling in the van or at a gig. That was it. No social with John. I didn't even have a cell number. I would have to call the road manager if I wanted to call him. So, I mean, he lived a very, very private life.
Sure. And Joey's said some very complimentary things about you coming into the band and how you really rejuvenated them. How did you then start bringing songs to them? Were you a songwriter all your life?
It was not really, not like a professional songwriter, Joey was, Joey pushed me for everything. Joey, called me Phil Collins. He was like, you can write, you can sing, you could play drums, you could do all this stuff. He pushed me to write and said, hey, we're doing a new record now. You need to write some songs. I said, I don't know what I'm, really had to write a song, but I wrote, Humankind. I wrote 6 songs for them.
Right.
And he really pushed me to sing more. He even, I sang You Can't Say Anything Nice. I think I was the first guy to ever sing lead vocals on a Ramones record.
You were, yes.
And I was like, Joey, you sing it. I'm not the singer. No, you sing it better. I was like, what? And that's how that came to be. And but he was a guy, he was a singer, and I've met a lot of frontmen in my life that, I was basically in the music business since 10 years old. I was playing bar mitzvahs and weddings, and going to the Catskills and stuff. So I met everybody. And generally they try to push you towards the back, if they could, they don't want the drummer to be too, sticking out there. And Joey just kept pushing me to the front, pushing me to do more, sing with me, So it was really a powerful lineup when we really got going, and I was singing all these backups with him, and I think that lineup, just not just because I was in it, but it was really like a freight train. It was really something special. For some reason, Dee Dee, just playing all around the beat, people who play Ramone songs now, they all try to be so tight with it. It wasn't tight. What's tight is the drums. They lay down this steady beat, and then the guitars and the bass just flow around it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what created that sound, you know. I mean, it wasn't like everything like that. It was looseness around it and swing. But the drums were like, here I come, I'm going. You guys better find me, catch up, and let's go. And that's what they did. And, you know, you listen to these live recordings from that time, it was really good. You know, totally different because drummers all change bands. You know, they change the sound of a band. But, you know, Tommy had his sound. Tommy was more like a Charlie Watts player, you know. The more on the backbeat. I was more on top of the beat. And Marky, I don't know what kind of drummer he was. Terrible drummer, I guess. So that's how it went.
It's interesting to hear you say that because, you know, you think of the Ramones and you don't think Buddy Rich. You don't think of jazz drummers. So that was maybe the thing that really helped you get the gig was the fact that you had a different approach to it.
No, I mean, there was no Buddy in that music at all. You couldn't even play a triplet in the Ramones. But having the knowledge of understanding that kind of music or having the footwork that a John Bonham can play from Zeppelin, you know, just having that, you know, makes it more comfortable knowing that those things could be played. You're not really playing them in the Ramones. You're just going boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, you know, and doing the right hand as fast as you can do, you know. But it just kept, I don't know. There's something about it. Like I always say, there's drummers and then there's guys who play drums, you know. There's a big difference between two, you know. Some drummers make the drums sing. They become musical. You should be able to listen to a drummer with nothing else. Just to go in a room and listen to him play a beat. It should be musical, you know, just the way you hit him. And as opposed to like big army players that just bash around, you know, there's no real style about it. So I took that with me, but that had nothing to do with, you know, actually couldn't do any of that in the Ramones. You know, I did that when I did the West Side Story gig with the Symphonies. I got to do my other kind of drumming, but, you know, I was a well-rounded musician, read music and all that stuff. You know, I studied for years. I won awards as a kid and, you know, so.
One of the things that's so incredible and fascinating about your career, you've really taken all that knowledge and been across the gamut. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about the West Side Story gig you did? Because that sounds very cool as well.
That was something different, you know, like after I left the band, I came to LA in the late 80s, 89, 88, 89, and toured with some bands out here. And then I was like, you know, I'm done. And, you know, I stopped for like 10 years. I was working in hotels and things like that. And when I came back, I said, I want to do something different, you know, reinvent, come back on the scene. Because I went to like the Joey Ramone birthday bash. Mickey invited me, you know, and that's how it all started going. My juices started flowing again back, you know, like in 2005. So the West Side Story thing, I met a guy out here, Ron Abel, who played keyboard. I bring my I had electronic drums. I bring them to his house, and we'd score the Leonard Bernstein score. You know, I wanted to do like a 20-minute solo piece, a solo artist. And that's how it happened. We played it, you know, we dragged it to Rachel Warby, to her condo in Pasadena, and we played it live, just drums and piano there with my little speaker on these plastic drums. It blew them away. They gave us like a 3-day weekend. And I only did a couple of those shows, and then the economy fell out of that scene, so that ended. So I'm always at the tail end of things, but it was really interesting, you know. I just wanted to play, and playing with a 90-piece orchestra is really a
whole
lot
different
of fun.
experience.
Do you think you're more Shark or Jet?
He basically asking me if I'm the bad guy or the good guy. I think I have a little of both. If you want, you know, if I need to be the bad guy, I can be as bad as all of them out there.
That makes you the lead. That makes you Tony.
Did you ever figure out who put something in your drink?
No. I was in a nightclub, so I have no idea whose drink it was, you know.
When you, with a couple of the records that you worked on, Tommy Ramone was one of the producers. Was that stressful or better to have a drummer behind the boards, or was it just like going, this guy can sit in here?
Right. Tommy was like, you know, Listen, I was prepared. I know what I'm doing. You know, the first time they got a professional, I just came there and dug it. I said to Tommy, you know, because, you know, I was a punk, but I was confident, you know. There was nothing I was doing that I know was wrong. And I said, hey, is everything good? He was like, you just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. And that was it. Nobody told me one beat what to play, you know. So, because I knew what fit and what fits, you know, what fit for the music, you know. Plus, we, you know, rehearsed for a little bit before that. But no, I never had any of that. You know, I never really was scared by any of that stuff. And when it comes to music, because I knew what I was doing. I started so young. Right. My brother was 5 years older than me, so by 7, I was already getting lessons. I mean, I've been doing it for 50 years now, you know, more than 55. Right. But so no, I didn't feel any pressure at all.
How'd you get that nickname, the People's Ramone?
A guy in a band I know in Argentina. He was like, you know, you know, and he's talking in his broken English, and you know, he brought me a bottle of wine after the show last year or 2 years ago. He said, you're for the people. You're Ramone for the people. You come out after the show. You come out for an hour. You sign autographs. You talk to people. You get pushed around. You are a true Ramone. You're a Ramone for the people. And that's how the People's Ramone came up. I thought that was so cool. I was like, fuck, I'll take that fucking title.
That's a pretty sweet title, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to beat.
Yeah, so I love that. So, I'm going to start doing some more T-shirts like that. I did it for South America. I don't think people here would understand that. You know, South America, basically Argentina, number one, you know, in the world as far as fans there. You know, the Latin communities are big with, you know, Spain with Ramones and all that. So I'll bring it out there if we ever get to tour again.
Why do you think the Ramones are so huge in South America?
It's an adopted family. They took them on as one of those. They're really into the metal and headbanging down there. And, you know, the Ramones first went there when we first could in 1987. That was with me on the drums. And then they didn't go back to 1981. And by then they were going like once or twice a year till they finished their career because they were so popular. They even like played in the stadium there once, you know. Yeah. That place, there's no what it is, but it's awfully special. You know, like I can walk anywhere in the world, but if I go down there, I got to have like a big nose and sunglasses because I'll get stopped everywhere. You know, it's crazy. You know, it's really crazy how different it is. You know, I have people. I land on the plane. I could be sitting there waiting for a plane because you fly to every gig there. And I had a mother and her children come over, and the mother was just sobbing, like crying, like, you know, that I was there. It's like, please stop. What do we have for her? You know, like, you know, I mean, it's that intense, man.
I feel like that's one of the best kinds of fame, where you can go most parts of the world and still be yourself, remain incognito, but at certain places you get the love and like attention you deserve. So you can have that balance, a little bit of everything.
I guess that's how it goes, sure. You know,
before everything had to kind of come to a halt because of the quarantining and such, you guys were out touring, and you've been pretty what's the phrase? You've been out there for a few years, and you got a couple records. How's the band sounding?
They were sounding great, and this last tour was, you know, should we go? Because we left March 5th. And we were going to Copenhagen. We had 30 shows booked. And it was like, everything's paid for, let's go. It still wasn't, they weren't really closing nothing. Right. And this virus followed us around as we got to Germany. It was the last night in that city. And then finally Berlin. After 9 shows, it all blew up. Italy canceled. It was all. So then I had to try to get the whole band home, and it was really awful. I didn't get home till the 20th of March. It took me like another week. I had to go to England and then come home. But it was a nightmare, just a nightmare. But the band was sounding great. I was really excited. And, you know, I had a new drummer from Houston. You know, I play drums, you know, and sing on some songs, but I front a lot too. So I needed a good, solid drummer behind me. And this kid I really like, Chris. And now, you know, you got to, next year, just, you know, everything canceled out this year. Just got to start over again. And rehearse and get it going again. But it'll happen. I guess it'll come back eventually, but I'm not going out there if there's still masks or there's plexiglass between the stage and the people, or there's 6 foot distancing. You know, a punk rock show is all about audience participation and moshing. And if none of that can happen, I'm staying home.
Yeah, not for the
just
people.
Maybe write a new record or something, you know, put a new album until it all clears.
You know, we know the Ramones, especially Joey, as this sort of towering punk legend. And his face is so recognizable with the glasses and the hair. But you guys were friends. What was he really like when he's not this icon off the stage, when you guys are just hanging out?
He was, listen, I'm not friends with anybody who are assholes or, you know, this guy, he was just a sweetheart. We had so much fun. We laughed all the time. You know, I was such a friend of him, you know, him and all his OCD, you know, like, we'd go out and, like, we'd be walking, we'd go to the Ritz in the city, and, like, so we'd jump off the curb, I'd cross the street, I'd still be talking, I'd turn to my right, he's not there, I'd turn around, he's still trying to get, moving his foot back and forth, trying to cross the street, you know, I'd say, come on, Joe. He said, I'll be right there, Rich, and we would laugh about his OCD. I mean, that's what a friend, you know, he was such a good friend to me, like, you know, people always ask me that question, well, what was that like? And it's like, nothing, because I didn't care. I met a guy who was so good to me, and after struggling in the business from a teenager, that's all I wanted to do, you know. Took me like 15 years to get going. I was 25 when I got in the band. So he was just a sweetheart, really good guy. I mean, everybody has their moments, but I hung out with him every day, you know. We loved to drink. Love to do all lots of stuff, but you know, we were good. We were very, very good friends. So talk every day, or go. I was living in Brooklyn. I'd go to Brooklyn to the city, hang out every day. We would, but it was difficult for him to walk down 8th Street because people would always stop him and all that stuff. But he really didn't mind, and he signed everybody's autographs, you know, and never had a thumbs up, you know, to anybody, even other musicians. He helped other bands. He was a wonderful dude, man. Way too young. Way too young. He would have loved having this in his own podcast and his radio station from home. He would have went nuts for this kind of stuff right now, you know, introducing new bands and supporting them on his, you know, he'd definitely be doing one of these, you know, radio shows, but that was all, you know, then, and that, you know, we didn't have that then.
Yeah.
He was a great guy.
Is there a moment that stands out as you're with your friends? So not necessarily performing, but a moment with you and them, your friends, that just stands out as one of your favorite moments together?
No, it's not one moment, you know.
Sure.
It's just not one moment. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, I get that.
Especially when you're 25 through 29 and a half years old, 30 years old. I just lived in the moment then, you know. I just was taking it all in. I never thought about this time in my life or later, or saving T-shirts or records that I saw around the world. You know, I never collected nothing. I just wasn't that. I just lived in the moment. You know, you think about it now and say, wow, I wish I had all that stuff I used to have. No, just that, you know, that here I was fortunate to be in one of the great bands ever, you know, and to be in a band where I get a Ramone surname rather than, you know, being the drummer in Pat Benatar or someone that you wouldn't really, you know, I know a million bands, but I couldn't tell you the drummer's name, you know. So this was really special to have an identity like that, you know, and I really lucked out, you know.
You can follow us on all the various socials. Our website is whythepodcast.com and has all sorts of additional stories and videos. It's also where you can sign up for our newsletter. We're also on YouTube if you're into that kind of thing. And don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes, because if you don't, we'll call your mother and tell her that she's completely right. You would look so much prettier if you smiled more.
Why the Podcast is part of Mudhouse Media. Today's show was produced by myself and Heidi Hegquist. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing executive producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our graphic designer is Samantha Mustonen. The theme song was performed by the Electrosynth-O-Magnetic Polyphonic Orchestra. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Flash, we're coming home.
Nigel, is that you? Are you here, Nigel?